so many things.
Hi, everybody. I'm Coach Jennie, the Audacity Coach. Welcome back to Level Up with Coach Jennie. This series is really fun for me because unlike my other blabs where I'm having conversations and we're having different disagreements and dialogues about all things audacity and self-sabotage, this is really about capturing the stories and the experiences of the badass people I surround myself with. This lady's one of those people. I'm really excited to have Allie here with us today. I'm going to let her introduce herself in a moment. But Allie, what we're doing here is picking your brain. I want to pick your brain from two different angles. I want to pick your brain as somebody who has leveled up in your own business so we can shorten our learning curve as we're leveling up. And I'll also want to learn a little bit about your coaching. But first, a lot of these people don't know you yet. And that's just a darn shame. Will you please let everybody know who you are, where you are, and what you're all about?
Sure thing. Hi, everybody. So lovely to meet you and your beautiful avatars today. I am located in Washington, D.C., and I am, how to describe myself? I would call myself just a crazy self-awareness nerd who is obsessed with really understanding kind of who I am at my core of cores, and have always been trying to get down there and figure that out. And along the way, really trying to harvest the things that I'm learning and that are working for me as I start to really figure out who I am and how I can design my life around that core essence and what I can bring to the world. To feel, I think at the end of the day, people want to feel alive and they want to feel like they're moving the world forward in some way. So that's my goal, and I want to work with people to help them be able to achieve that as well.
I love the phrase self-awareness nerd because I would definitely be part of that club.
Yeah.
Total self-awareness nerd. But how do you help people? You do coaching and workshops and teaching and...
Yes, exactly. I am a coach, and I am really passionate also about experience design and how we get the concepts and self-awareness across to people in really interesting experiential ways that open up and crack open insights. So I teach my own workshops. I teach for other outlets like General Assembly, and I teach a little bit at the University of Maryland. And design these kinds of experiences for people together with a tribe of other people to get in there and figure out who they really are.
Very cool. Very cool. I knew that, but I want to make sure everybody else knew that because it's very cool about you. So my first question for the series, and I'm asking everybody two of the same questions and then everything else just goes where it goes. But the first question is, how do you personally know when it's time for you to level up in your business? How do you know you have crossed a threshold of some sort and it's no longer optional?
That is a wonderful point. And I think just being aware of it is sometimes the most essential piece, is knowing, okay, I've got to pay attention for this, because I've always used to be somebody who would just like put my mind on a path and go straight ahead, and I wouldn't always pull back and check in with how things are going. And I've changed a lot of that in my self-awareness path. I think for me, I'm a big believer in whole body awareness, and some of the work that I've really been working with my clients and in my workshops is checking in with all levels of our intelligence. So not just, brain intelligence, but what our physical energy and body is telling us, as well as what our emotions and our heart are telling us. So for me, if I'm feeling I'm feeling drained all the time, or if I'm feeling really cranky and irritable, or if I'm just feeling like everything is tight and I'm really resisting or pulling, that to me is a really big sign of something's up. And I need to really check in and pay attention to this, and I need to pull back from whatever I'm doing and pay closer attention to what I need to do next. And I think that a lot of times I never used to check in with my body in that way and the wisdom of my body. And once I started learning that I can get signs from all of these places, I started to really step up my game and be able to figure out when I needed to make a change or do something different.
I love the phrase you use. There's an echo. Do you hear it?
I don't actually.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, that's
very weird. Blab is in beta. That happens. So one of the things I loved how you talked about, paying attention to the wisdom of your body. I love that phrase. I love how you use that. But we all feel things. How do you know it's time to interpret things, right? So we have the wisdom of our body telling us, yo, pay attention. This is scary, or this is uncomfortable, or you're bored, or like, I would love for you to talk a little bit in more detail about what are those specific feelings that are attributed to, it's time to up level. It's time to do something and go into some uncharted territory, or it's time to just set the expectation for myself higher, or something like that. I would love to hear, what are the physical body wisdoms, if you will?
Yeah, that's amazing. Great question. So I'm a big practicer of mindfulness practices and meditation. So for me, the meditation practice is a really great place for me to slow down and connect. And I think connecting in a space where we're removed from the hustle of our lives is important, because then we can spend a little time saying, like, is this a fear, or is this an emotion, like you were saying, like an impulse, versus something really deeper and truer? For me, I feel a lot in my gut, like, no pun intended, but I think that's obviously why we say go with your gut. So if things are really tight and constricted inside of there, to me, that's really a sign of paying attention. I think that there's this great phrase that Tara Moore uses in her book, Playing Big, which I love and highly recommend for anyone who hasn't read it yet. And she talks about discriminating between two different types of fear and how they feel to us. And one fear is kind of the fear of, our amygdala, like reacting, that fight or flight. And that's like very almost maybe heady fear. We're just scared of something and we think we might die, but we're misconstruing the signs and we aren't actually going to. It's just emotional pain. But then there's also this fear of inhabiting a space that's bigger than you're used to, or being beyond yourself. And that fear is expansive versus a fear that's really tight and constrictive. And
how does that feeling show up specifically for you and your body? Like, how do you feel like, okay, it's time to get expansive? How does that fear show up?
Fear that's good for me, it feels like it's kind of extending out, like my stomach is like reaching out to the different parts of my body. And fear that's restrictive and I'm playing too small is like fear that's coming inward and really tightening up and becoming like knots, versus the fear that's almost like kind of going like this, where it's starting to string out and expand and take over.
I like to look at this fear. We're coaches, so we have to talk in analogies, as you know. So I like to think of it as like the roller coaster ride. You've just gotten into the ride and you've just gotten strapped in, right? And it's starting to move slowly to its starting position, right? So you can feel that feeling. Now, depending on what the ride is, depending on what you think of roller coasters and how big this roller coaster is, you're going through a certain kind of fear. And it's your roller coaster. This is going to be the ride. If it's got that equal parts exciting and terrified, right? Okay, this ride, I wasn't expecting all these butterflies. When I was in line, I was doing okay, but I was excited. But now I'm like, holy crap. Then you're about to level up. And to me, I think that describes that expansive feeling versus if they would stop this ride, you would get off. You're regretting this freaking decision. You're hating the person next to you. You're already punching them as you're climbing the hill. Like, why did you make me go on this ride? Right? And you're closing your eyes through half of it. And you get off and you don't feel well and you're pissed and your day is shot, right? That is not leveling up. That is pushing yourself too far. That's that more clenched feeling.
The other way, Yeah, absolutely. And the other way I've been really phrasing it for myself, and it'll be a great test for me to see how it lands with others, is the way I'm really starting to feel things. Am I being pulled toward it? Like, is it coming from within and it's like pulling me? And I have to go. I have to do that, even if it's going to scare the crap out of me.
Right.
Or am I pushing it? It's like, pushing the rock up a hill. I think I have to. It's a lot of expectation or obligation, and it isn't really something that's generating from within. It's something that's coming from outside. And the difference between that is the difference of everything.
Well, I think it's really important to talk about what this feels like, because Regina says, feeling like a should, when we're ready to level up and we're getting all this pressure of what you should do next, right? Oh my God, Regina, I totally love you. You should write a book. You should do a TED Talk. Allie, you're so great. You should do this. You should do that. And those things on the surface sound sexy.
Yep.
But we have to figure out if it's our roller coaster ride or if it's not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not our values align with it, whether or not we want to do those specific things. I have no idea why, but this week I have noticed, this month really, I have noticed that the TED Talk and the book are the two most peer pressured things among thought leaders.
Wow.
Do you agree? Like you hear about these things. Oh my God, Allie, you should totally do a TED Talk.
Your TED Talk, yeah.
What is your first book going to be about? When's your next book coming out, or whatever it is, right? Like those are the two like peer pressures of leveling up in our industry.
Yeah.
Right, because of the exposure and because, those are the things that we see all the freaking time.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
How do you handle, Allie, when outside influences are telling you what you should do next?
Meditation is huge for me. Pausing. Oh, the power of a pause.
That's a tweetable, power of the pause.
It's so helpful because I get very caught up in energy of others and energy of ideas. That's been something I've struggled with my whole life, is just getting overly excited when I'm with others. And I always have to take a pause, and I'm learning that this is really powerful to me, to just pause, and it might be meditating, or it might just be removing myself and allowing things to percolate, because often after the initial excitement, then it marinates and it rests, and I might check it in with my values, my core values, what's my why? Why am I here? Does this line up with that? Because a lot of times something's really exciting, but it isn't actually taking me closer towards like my why, my purpose for being here, and the change that I want to create. It's just cool and it looks good to other people. So if I take a pause, let the first excitement like pass and settle down, check in with like my personal compass and say, how am I doing here? Is it like a hell yes, this aligns a lot? Or is it a no? Then seeing the opportunity to grow by saying no to others, right? Because every time we say no to the shoulds, we're really creating opportunities for our genuine path to open up. And sometimes we have to say no first before the actual path opens up. In fact, every time that's happened to me.
That's your experience. Got it.
Always.
Well, the thing is, what I'm hearing you say is all very well and good if and only if you're crystal clear about what your why is. You're crystal clear about what you're trying to build here, what you're trying to make happen. So when you're ready to level up, it is easy to get sucked into what you should do if you don't have that crystal clear why. So how on earth do you get to that? And I'm interested here on both perspectives of how you do it personally, Allie, but also you help clients with this, right? You help other people figure out their why. So I'd love if you could give us a hack or two, a tip or two of how we can get clear about that, so we can then discern, is this a should or is this on the right path the next time an opportunity comes our way?
Absolutely. I mean, yes, it's the journey of a lifetime to figure out our why, and mine's still evolving, but I think I'm a big believer in the wisdom that our life has kind of already given us. And I tend to think when I do a lot of self-discovery work that it's kind of like you're an archaeologist kind of going in and dusting off all of these interesting clues and insights that exist, that are there, that have always been there. And it's your job to bring them to light, dust them off, and then start looking at them and seeing, oh, what patterns do I see? What do they look like when they're all put together? So I really do a lot of work with clients on getting into that data and pulling it out and making it come to light and looking at kind of the who have I always been? My why is not something brand new. It's something that there's been indicators towards my whole life in some way. And it's like once you figure it out, then you're like, well, duh, of course, that's what I thought I was. That's what I've been here for all along. But it's like Steve Jobs says, you can only connect the dots looking back. So, it's hard. It's hard work. I also do some energy tracking work with clients, which I'm happy to share a little template that I've come up with, which is like literally forcing yourself to track and manage what lifts your energy and what drops your energy over the course of a week, and like maybe what articles you're drawn toward, or the types of people you want to spend all your time around. And I think that's...
Can we dive into that a little bit when it comes specifically to the types of people? One of the things that keeps coming up in the Audacity Lab and on my blabs and is coming up with my audience a lot is the comparison monster, the comparison Hilda, as I call her, right? And I think it would be really interesting to look at the energy up and down that you were just describing. So could you give us a little more meat around that when it comes specifically to the people that you're surrounding yourself with, the influencers you're allowing in, the books you're reading, the people you're having dinner with Thursday? Like, how would you set up that exercise for my peeps?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, what I have, like, just literally a template of like plus on one side, minus on another side. And for a week, I just write down everything that shows up in the plus side, including people and what I'm doing when I'm doing it. Sometimes there's somebody that you love, but you just can't see them first thing in the morning or whatever it might be. But just noticing and getting really clear and tracking it. Literally writing it down, because tracking it forces you to start observing it at a deeper level. And I actually have people not try to make any assessments or judgments in the moment. Track for a week. And then
what are they writing down specifically, Allie? Like, give me an example of what you would write down.
So it could be as simple as saw this person, like met with Brian, and that goes on, maybe it's a negative. I walk away feeling really drained. So the key is to notice, what shifted you into which category. So you walk away from this meeting feeling really drained. So that goes on that category.
On the other side. Okay, so met with Brian right before lunch, felt drained. No judgment, no explanation, nothing more than that, just a piece of information.
Exactly. I stumbled upon this article about how to create classrooms for greater motivation and drive with students, and like totally lost track of time, plus category.
Got it. Okay.
What we're doing where we really notice the shift, right? So like energy is coming back to me in crazy amounts, or had a phone call with this friend and I feel like a rock star now. Had a session with my coach and I feel fantastic, plus column. And for me, email, email drains me every single time. It's a necessary evil, but if I have to like create timers to not get super drained. So after 7 days of tracking, what shows up in either category, then you take a look at the general list and start looking for themes. and or things that really stood out to you. So it might be certain people who you're really starting to notice, wow, they don't give me any energy. There isn't a return on the investment I put into spending time with them. And then in the positives, you might start noticing very specific things that really return life back to you. And there's great indicators in terms of the activities, also the topics. I noticed when I was doing this for myself that I am really drawn towards human behavior, motivation, and drive. I was reading and watching all kinds of TED Talks on them, and I would have never been able to put my finger on that before, but I saw it showing up like every day. I was just doing something that led me towards that. And it was through tracking that I was actually able to say, oh, that's probably a specific place that I am really curious about and driven to know more about, and showed up through that exercise.
So in the Audacity Lab, we're talking about overwhelm this week. So I imagine that this energy exercise would be a really great way of tracking your overwhelm as well. You know, when I'm spending time, how did I feel? How did my energy, did it spike or did it feel drained? Might also help you figure out what's got to change and what's got to give in terms of your overwhelm. I really love this exercise. We should talk about it more in the lab this week.
Totally. And it can be replaced for anything. I just did an exercise for a workshop around shoulds and wants in the same types of categories. What's showing up as shoulds, what's showing up as things you truly want to, and investigate that further.
Right. I totally agree. We have a couple comments in the sidebar, and they're cheers, and I want to make sure you see them, Allie. Regina says she loves that, saying no to the shoulds in order for the path to open up, and how you illustrated that. She loved that. And Alma was really into when you said the word percolate, as it illustrated perfectly why the pause is so powerful. Thank you. It's going to be her word for the week. Percolate. I love that word. A very important word is to just kind of sit with something. We've talked about that a little bit too, where an opportunity comes your way and you're so freaking excited. I mean, oh, Allie, here's this opportunity. And of course you want to say yes, but taking that pause, allowing yourself to percolate and decide, wait, is this opportunity something I want to do, or something I'm saying yes to because I'm just flattered? Or is it something that's the kind of opportunity I am on the lookout for because this is what I'm working on? Or is it something I would just be doing as a favor? So it's about figuring out a rubric, if you will, of how to decide whether or not that's the next right opportunity for you, or if it's a big ass should.
Yep. Yes.
Do you have anything to add to that rubric? Like, how do you go about making a decision? Yeah, this opportunity is going to level me up, and it's aligned with everything that I know is my why and all the things that I've spent time on, or not so much. What are the questions you ask yourself to make those decisions?
That's great. And you and I worked on this a lot. It was actually very helpful for me when I got into the specifics of it. So aside from greater alignment with my why and my values, the energy, right? Like, what is my energetic pull towards this, and the people that I'd be working with? There's definitely been some people who I've worked with once, and while I love everything about the work that we did, working with in that relationship was a bit of a strain. So that comes back to play for me at times when I'm making a choice, is kind of the who it's for and who I'm aligning with, and the values aligned to me. Am I really building skills in the area I'm most wanting to build right now? So, if I'm really looking to get a ton of facilitation in because I really want to hone my energy management of a room, then I might say yes to something that I wouldn't otherwise, but I'm saying yes because I really want to just zero in on that skill and develop.
If you want to work on that skill, you need to host a few blabs, my friend. Just host some blabs around some controversial issues. Starbucks cups are red. What do you think? Go. You can practice your facilitation right there.
That's awesome. Good. Easy.
There you go.
That's awesome. And I think another that we had talked about is is this allowing me to move any one of my goals forward, right? So,
right. Or is it taking me away?
Right, exactly. And
further away.
And one thing, just purely financially, that I thought you had mentioned that was great is doing this going to fund something that I really want to spend my time with? Because one thing that is really valuable and beautiful when you're trying to build your own content and your own work is the space to do it. So if you can, like, I had a facilitation come my way that I wouldn't have normally said yes to, but in one day I was going to make enough to give myself like a week or two of space to work on the personal compass stuff that I really want to create. So I knew that was going to create the environment that I'm looking for the most.
That's a really important thing. I hope everybody hears. Sometimes you have to, there goes that echo again. You guys hear it? Oh, now it's gone. It's my headset. I need a new headset. So sometimes you have to say yes to an opportunity because it's funding your ability to build your next level. Right. And sometimes we get to a place where we're snubbing potential opportunities because they're not ideal opportunities. So we have to also have that reality check that not everything is ideal. And that doesn't make it inherently bad. It doesn't mean that you're sacrificing your values or anything like that. It just means it's not ideal. Right. I'm not by any means saying, take a client who just totally sucks and is going to drive you crazy. But, there is nothing wrong with deciding to say yes to working with a client or finding a creative way to work with a client that is not quite your ideal, but somebody you can help, you can do good work. You could use the money, which is going to free you up to work on your other project for a couple of weeks, right? Yeah. It's the same exact idea. And I feel like we get into such black and white thinking when it comes to leveling up in our business. And we allow other voices to get into our head about what we should or shouldn't do, what's right, what's wrong. Right. And we don't need to do that. Alma says, your pre-established goals as a point of reference, right? You want to be really, really clear. Is this aligned or not? And notice that all the questions that Ali was pointing out, it's a lot of gray area, right? It's just a ton of gray area. And these questions allow you to decide if it leans this way or leans that way and then make a choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really negotiating and not needing there to be only black and whites. When I first started, I was like my perfectionist self. When I'm in my critic, I'm a perfectionist and like just everything needs to be done exactly the way it's supposed to. And I only wanted to take perfect clients and only wanted to do exactly the work that I wanted to do. But I had just started my business. No, that wasn't going to happen. That was so unrealistic. And I remember having a friend say to me, look, you have the long-term vision and that's the ideal. And then you have where you are now. And what are you going to do to accept what's short-term that gets you there? And what's in front of you short-term that can be exciting and will build and will grow and will help you get there in a way that's really powerful. When you're clear, if you know what the ideal is, amazing, because you will be able to guide yourself towards that little by little. We swing here, we swing there, but we're still going in the right direction.
Absolutely. Well, as everybody can tell, Ali is an amazing coach. We have a very different style of coaching, but I love so much about what you're doing. I would love for you to share with everybody your personal go-to tip or two for any solopreneur who's ready to level up. What advice would you give them?
Well, I would say, being very clear about spending the time to get clear and put down your values, your strengths, and your why. And I do this around a personal compass. So it's like literally create that compass, write it down, make it visual, and put it in your space. Put it somewhere that you can see it, make it tangible. Because a lot of the work we do in coaching or on personal development is here, or it's we talk about it. It's very oral and can be abstract. So if we can make our vision tangible in some way and get it into our space where we're looking at it, and it's a reminder to us. Yeah, exactly, totally. And just set it next to your bed and look at it when you wake up in the morning. Look at it when you go to sleep, and you know, that can be enough just to keep it on your radar and keep it around you so that you know, like, okay, I'm checking in with that every day. And how am I doing? I'm not going to be perfect. It's not 100% all the time, but am I on this path? And, you know, giving yourself, the other thing I have to say, celebrating yourself. My goodness, this is hard freaking work. And you do not stop, me especially, I do not stop to celebrate or acknowledge myself. And so
we all struggle with that. We all do, right? We get on, we're like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? Instead of focusing on that. And we spend 10 times the amount of time focusing on the struggle versus celebrating the wins.
Yeah, totally. Well said. And if you celebrate, you're going to be more willing to keep doing the work and keep challenging yourself and doing things that are scary to you. When I'm nice to myself, I take greater risks. That's just the way it is. And when I've started to learn where my critic shows up and have conversations with her, because you can't just push it down. It doesn't go away. But, you know, we can have, sometimes I have a morning conversation between my inner critic and my inner mentor, the person I want to be, and talk about who's taking the driver's seat today. And, you know, when the person I really want to be most, not my critic, shows up, I do far more expansive and amazing things in my life.
Allie, what is your favorite way to celebrate your accomplishments?
God, that is such a good question. I like to take a day off. And just
celebrate accomplishments by accomplishing nothing.
Right, exactly. And do whatever I want to do. I'm not a routine or habit naturally inclined towards that. So for me, a day of total spontaneity is like the biggest gift anyone could ever give me. And a day of like not having to check my email or not having to do anything. So I'll find myself at like an art museum. I live in DC, so that's like super amazing. We can go to all the museums for free. I'm a nerd and I love learning. So like learning something new or I'm learning how to use Photoshop right now because I think it's just fun to get outside of your comfort zone. I want to take some more art classes. So just allowing spontaneity because that's a really big gift for me. And often I end up feeling so much more jazzed or having some insight that I never could have had any other way. If I hadn't just like allowed that to happen. So it usually actually gives back to my business in more ways than I would have thought.
It's really interesting that that's what you said, because I am taking tomorrow off. Tomorrow is Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And Veterans Day is not a holiday that most entrepreneurs I know feel like is something they should celebrate. But in honor of my father, who was a Vietnam veteran, I just decided I wanted the day off. I wanted to go to a veterans memorial. I haven't gone to any of those here in the city. So that'll be a little solemn. And I'm going to, follow that with a really nice lunch out. My wife is off because she's a teacher and they do get a Veterans Day. And I'm taking a Wednesday off. It just seems like the craziest thing. I'm not going to check my email. I'm not going to blab. I'm not going to be anywhere. I'm just going to go and enjoy the day in LA because it's going to be gorgeous. And that is I had not connected that to celebrating an accomplishment. So thank you for that, because I have a lot to celebrate and I'm going to enjoy that day. I think that's a really good thing to have this spontaneous day off. And next time I'm not going to wait. Right now I have permission. Yeah. Next time I'm not going to wait for a federal holiday to make it so. This just happens to work out because my wife is off too.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, I love it.
So Allie, everybody's going to want to know how to reach you. And I want to know what's your next big thing and how my Audacity Lab can help you.
Amazing. So I will share with you all my website, and I write a newsletter called Question to Self, which is just sharing the questions I'm always asking myself. So that's the best way to stay in touch and kind of hear my thinking and how it's evolving. I'll also share that. Next for me is I'm really building out this personal compass concept, and I'm trying to create a lot more structure around it and potentially build it into an online class or a standalone. Right now I'm coaching everyone through it and doing it in workshops live. And I want to create something that can reach more people. and become almost a product in and of itself. And also, so any way of spreading the word around that. And I'm really trying to think, because I love building things and I really like making work tangible. And I'm brainstorming right now around like, what's a final product that people can be building through this course, defining their compass, that they can, right now I just draw a compass and like put it on a piece of paper and put it on my wall. But what might be really creative ways of manifesting that into somebody's physical space, so that it's both a really fun thing to construct, and it has its own process of building and thinking as you build and think, but also can remain in your space and be very tangible.
Regina says coloring book or an image. Shay says Legos. I don't know why I thought of a paperweight that you could put on top of a piece of paper and write. These are the things that are coming to mind. So take that conversation over to the Audacity Lab. I know Facebook is not your favorite place in the world, but pop by and share it over there. And please join some more of these blabs that we're having, all the discussions we're having. Today was definitely an interview all about you, but I definitely would love to have your perspective and love for you to get to know some more of these fabulous folks over here who are blabbing with us here and there. So if you see a conversation, let us know. The Legos would be fun. You could use each Lego as point.
I love that idea.
To voice a specific thing toward the end goal. How great would that be in a workshop too?
Love it. So much fun. Plus, you're kind of getting back into your, childlike self and playing around.
Legos.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Yes.
That's genius.
Thank you.
Homework. It's challenge accepted. What is your website, Allie?
It is mindintomatter.co. And is it helpful if I send you like the links and
drop the links in the chat? That'll be helpful. Everybody will be able to see it there. And that's really important. Allie, thank you so much for being part of the show.
You guys, and for your amazing ideas and your acknowledgments and encouragement. It's so wonderful to share this space with all of you.
Awesome. Well, all right, guys, I will see you. I am back I'm back Thursday doing this again. We'll be meeting with Jules Taggart. So join us for another level up. There is more blabbing happening today as well. So I'll talk about that in a moment. But let me go ahead and kill the